All right, so we're going to talk about the fears of the zodiac signs. Of course, we can say that there are some signs that are a little bit more fearless, that are a little bit more courageous, but in general, there are underlying psychological things that each sign may just be a little bit, anxious about, or something that they always fear could happen. So let's get started. Aries fears missing out. Aries doesn't want to leave any rock unturned. There's this fear. If I don't go, if I don't do this, if I don't experience this, then I'm just going to miss out. So sometimes Aries can have that really quick energy, want to get involved in something really quick, want to volunteer for something really quick because of that, really quickly because of that, like fear of not having an experience or missing something that they want to do. Taurus feels that somehow their sense of peace and comfort is always going to be disrupted somehow. Taurus can also fear losing something, especially when we think of things that are tangible items. So there can be an attachment to certain possessions or certain things. Sometimes we think of Taurus energy, again, we talk about Venus, we talk about the material, right? So Taurus can be a sign that's a little bit more sensitive to losing certain things that mean a lot to them, because when they have something of value, they like to hold on to it. As you know, with Taurus energy, sometimes it can be hard for Taurus to let go of something. But with Taurus, you're dealing with a fear of losing something, a fear of not having something that makes them feel comfortable, a fear of something entering their environment that's too radical, that's too extreme, that shakes up the thing that they're used to. Gemini fears silence, okay? Or Gemini just fears not being mentally stimulated. They don't like being bored, okay? This Gemini cannot sit still mentally, right? There's always this, I need to have a conversation. I don't like silence. But also with Gemini energy, you can see that a lot because there can also be this fear of not being listened to, right? Gemini needs that kind of mental stimulation. And sometimes it can come from themselves studying something, learning something, but oftentimes with Gemini is that need to externalize, communicate, and discuss with someone else. And so Gemini's fear is always that there's going to be moments where like people don't listen to them, or people don't talk to them, or there's any type of situation where they're bored. There's this fear of like boredom and needing something to always kind of feed their mind. So that's why you can see sometimes, especially with the Gemini energy, there's silent treatment is probably torture for a Gemini person. Cancer fears having to be in situations that make them not aligned with what they feel is right. And I think you could argue like, oh, doesn't everyone feel that way? But with Cancer, it's true to the game. With Cancer energy, that's why you'll sometimes see, though we can have this idea of, oh, Cancer's warm and nurturing. No, if Cancer doesn't want to do something, the energy, they won't do it. Or they will not deliver the way you think they will, or they will decide to like just escape and say, no, forget it. I'm gonna come back to this when I feel like it. So Cancer's fear is having to align or go along with something that truly is not the core of who they are. Whether it's having to go to an environment, a place where they're just not comfortable, having to change directions too quickly for a Cancer person, where it's like, whoa, no, I thought we were doing this. Cancer needs to feel aligned with their environment. It's an emotional need, where Taurus, it's a physical need for the environment to be comfortable, right? And so with Cancer energy, the fear is that they're going to be out of their element. Cancer does not like to be too far away from what it feels a sense of ownership over. It's a cardinal energy. So for Cancer, the fear can be, being pushed, their boundaries being pushed, or being in a situation where they just don't feel like it aligns with who they are or what they want to do. So for some people can go with the flow. All right, change of direction, cool. That's not how Cancer moves. Leo fears being ignored, okay? If you ignore Leo energy, that is going to create some type of inner or outer response from the Leo. Like being ignored, not being noticed for what they have done, not being noticed for what's good about them, that can really set a Leo individual off, okay? Especially when they're used to attention. Virgo fears not knowing the details, not being prepared. It's not that Virgo's trying to annoy you by asking questions. It's that Virgo is trying to, there's a map in the Virgo's mind of, okay, this goes here, that goes there. It makes them feel less anxious, okay? This is a sign that can deal a lot with anxiety. So Virgo's fear is not knowing what's going on, not knowing the plan, not being privy to all the different, ins and outs of something, and really being left to figure something out in the moment. Virgo doesn't like figuring it out in the moment. Can they figure it out? Sure, most of the time. But it causes a lot of anxiety when you put Virgo in a situation where you haven't let them know what's going on. Libra fears any situation that puts them in the hot seat. Libra does not want to be the bad guy, the bad girl. Libra does not want to be the person who's responsible for the drama, even if they are. Libra likes to be neutral, and so sometimes with Libra you can get that kind of you know, passing the buck. Well, I didn't mean to do that. Well, this person did that, right? Like, but that's usually if the Libra's under pressure. For the most part, Libra fears discord, drama. There's a fear there because it would rather be in its element. You know, this is a sign that is ruled by Venus. So for Libra, anything that makes them the bad guy, pointing the finger at them, makes them very uncomfortable. Scorpio can fear situations where they have no influence. They have no influence, no impact, no power. It's not necessarily that the Scorpio wants to have power over everything or everyone, but they typically need something that they are in control of, something that is theirs and theirs alone, because they tend to do it very well. But when you put a Scorpio in a situation and you don't give them any sense of responsibility, that sometimes can cause a lot of issues, fear, then Scorpio feels like, well, what's my role? What's my place here? And then they kind of can exert that power or need for influence on the situation. So it's best to find out what Scorpio's good at and let them get it done, let them do it. Sagittarius fears being limited, being stunted, being told they cannot go where they want to go. They can't experience the things they want to experience. Remember, this is a sign ruled by Jupiter. So, you know, any situation where you're telling us a Sagittarius, no, you can't. Nope, these are the bounds of where you can go. You can't go anywhere else. That is going to really, really, really stress out the Sag. And the Sag is typically going to, you know, rebel a little bit with that. So the fear for Sagittarius is being limited. And it is being told that they can't do something. Being told, because this is a sign that is supposed to be, in some way, you know, experience. Going on journeys, not being too stuck in the small, in the minute. So with Sagittarius energy, there's always going to be this fear, especially when they sense a situation where someone's trying to control them. There's going to usually be a reaction there. Capricorn fears failure. And you could argue, doesn't everybody? No, Capricorn, it's not a sign that's like, because it takes so long to do things and it tends to be good at it, you know, over time, like the thing they're building up to, systems, organization, things like that, bigger systems. If a Capricorn fails, they can kind of spiral out of control. And it may not look the same way as other signs, but Capricorn's fear is failure. That is why sometimes they drive and push people so much, is because they know if this isn't right, and this isn't right, if this doesn't get done the way it's supposed to, this could, you know, go off the rail. So for Capricorn, the underlying fear is failure. It's not an option. For Capricorn, failure is not an option, okay? Aquarius fears anything that is too limiting to their sense of individuality. Eventually, Aquarius is going to, even when they sometimes fall in line and do things the way they're supposed to, eventually they're going to do it their own way. So for Aquarius, there can be this, again, they don't like, similar in the way Sagittarius, they don't like too much restrictions on their freedom, right? Because Aquarius needs room to question things, to propose new concepts, new things, new theories, new ideas of how to get things done. So for Aquarius, in any setting, even if they thrive in it, where they feel that it's too small-minded, where they fear that they don't have the ability to kind of, you know, be more forward-thinking, like we're stuck in the same mindset, that for Aquarius can make them feel a little, you know, anxiety. It makes them feel like, I don't want to be in this setting, you know, but then you get that kind of rebellious side to Aquarius where they're kind of like, wait, why are you doing it completely different? It's because they've reached their threshold and they can't handle it anymore. They have to do it their own way. At its core, Pisces energy wants to do what it feels aligned. This is the sign of alignment, of divine energy, of, you know, of being aligned and being in sync with self and what's meaningful. Pisces fears doing anything that's not meaningful. Pisces fears endeavors that have no sense of meaning. That's why sometimes Pisces can struggle with the now. Get it done now. Here's a task. Opposite sign is Virgo, right? Where Virgo can function in that. But for Pisces, it has to be like aligned to their mission. And so sometimes there could be a fear of too much responsibility for the Pisces person, not because they can't do it, but because intrinsically there's this feeling of like, no, something's not right. This is not what I feel is right for me. And sometimes with Pisces, as I've said in some of my YouTube videos, it's hard to really for people to see Pisces vision, because people may not see it until the end, until it's right there. So for Pisces, there is this fear that they will be in situations that don't mean anything to them. They don't care about that. They care about this. But sometimes it's hard to make everyone else care about things that are more unique in life, things that are less material, things that are more about the experience, the human condition, which we sometimes can see in life with Pisces. So that is what you'll sometimes get with Pisces. But again, these are all the signs in their underlying fear.